Hi, Greg Weldon here with the Global Macro Strategy Report for Wednesday, April 3rd. I was going to do the ISM service numbers, but they really weren't that interesting. Lower prices, lower general activity, lower new orders, and it was real lower new orders. So it was a little sloppy. I thought it was interesting that employment was higher. So, kind of, again, something for everyone. The really only thing that struck me was that prices, when the list of commodities up and down in price, there was more commodities up in price this month, and now kind of overwhelming relative to the commodities down in price. So a little bit of whiff of inflation there. And even though the price index was lower on the month, it was still above 50. So that's interesting. Other than that, much more interesting is what's going on in silver right now. We have been really kind of positioned for this day, if you call it, if you want to say this is some kind of real breakout day, seminal day, statement day in silver. It sure looks like it. It sure feels like it. It sure senses like it. I've seen this before, and I've been saying for some time now there's going to be one of these days where silver's going to kind of go through these overhead resistance levels. Next thing you know, it'll be up $1.50, $2 on the day. When I first started putting this piece together, silver was up 39 cents. It's now up, 98 cents and going higher probably because you're only starting to break out. Thus, it's hi-ho, and away we go. All respect to the trading gods, to the precious metals gods, and to the silver gods. I bid you my humility. But nonetheless, here you go. We call it like we see it. What we see is as gold is now spiking, the gold-silver ratio is now falling. It is congesting. It is not making new highs. It's down for the week. It's on the verge of a breakdown. Not only that, it wasn't that long ago this was breaking down, this being the SIL silver miners versus the gold mining GDX. And now you have reversed completely very quickly. You have the momentum on your side, huge divergence, looking to take out this downtrend line. That would be a bullish tell for the entire precious metal sector. It is aligning the way it did in 2011 and the way it did in 2015 and 16, where the mining shares are taking the lead, and now silver in that vein is taking the lead. And that to me is really interesting. On its own merits, silver's through that key level of 26.23. And if you get through 27.31, I could see like a $3 move like that in days, if not in a matter of, 2 trading sessions, 3 trading sessions. Again, in a fast and furious way, I just think that this is really a coiled move that people are not that big in terms of being involved in yet. And that's particularly true in gold, frankly. Open interest actually fell in its most recent rally. And if you recall, I did say that we would have a short covering rally in gold because of all the shorts that piled in when you got that breakdown. That would be the catalyst to cause the breakout that people would miss because they're busy unwinding their shorts. The next thing they'll be chasing the market. It's exactly what's happening. Same thing in silver. Now, I am not an options guy. You know me for years. Only very, very rarely do I even look at the options board. But I had to take a look. Now, there's a lot of volatility to whatever extent. The longer-term volatility is higher, but the 2-year volatility is rolled over. That's interesting to me in the context of this congestion that's now being taken out. Look at, I actually nailed it right there with the highlighter. You really are above this entire pattern here. So to the extent that that kind of changes all these dynamics where the volatility is low enough that the pricing going forward for silver call options looks attractive. You get the $30 call option for September silver is less than $1. I hate options. I really do. At least paying away for time decay because that's what you're doing. So I think it's not a strategy I deploy very often. I think there's pitfalls in this strategy, most of which you're paying potentially for nothing. In this case, I don't mind because the cost is so low and the payoff could be so high. $35 call option for September is less than 40 cents. 40 cents. Now, does $35 seem high? Well, it doesn't if it goes to 45. And I could see silver at $45 some point this year. Maybe a little bit longer dated. I don't know. But just interesting to me. I would prefer to just own silver myself in the futures market because I know the risk reward on that dynamic. And I don't mind buying some of the mining shares in the same vein. I'm tempted to go out and buy the $35 call myself. We'll see. Silver now next to gold. You're standing next to gold, which is in the sweet spot, in the Goldilocks zone. What does that mean? It means it's appreciating against all paper currencies. Silver breaking out against dollar, but silver also, it's just shy. It's actually at right there by one single tick a new all-time high. No, it's not, because it's only 2011. Look at me. I'm thinking this is a long-term chart. It goes back to the 70s. Nonetheless, you're talking a multi-decade high in silver, priced in yen on the Tokyo Commodities Exchange. You're talking about silver breaking out, priced in euro currencies, above 24 euro per ounce, violating the downtrend line since 2011. Silver in Chinese renminbi breaking out. Silver in Canadian dollars breaking out. This thing's got 45 and then 60, if you ask me, written all over it. And then you say silver priced in Aussie dollars is less than 10% away from what would be a new all-time high for silver in Australian dollar terms. So again, in the sweet spot. Now here it gets even more interesting, because silver relative to the S&P 500, silver relative to stocks, the ultimate stuff versus paper. This is the ultimate stuff versus paper ratio spread. And you can see just recently, it was at a 20-year low, lowest since 2003. All right. And in that context now, it's made another bottom that was unconfirmed. You have two consecutive major lows that were unconfirmed relative to this set of lows. Actually, three of them. But this really wasn't, because it didn't even turn on the stochastic. That's massive divergence. You now have the short-term trend line being violated. The 2-year moving average is right there. And the downtrend line goes back to 2020, if not back to 2016, is right in line there too. Silver positioned for a reversal of a multi-year downtrend relative to the stock market. That, to me, is really interesting. So the real spotlight, though, is on the mining shares, and really the individual mining shares, because the SIL is lagged. The SIL is not even broken out yet. You have the trend line, but you need to get through 2961, which would also take out the 2-year moving average, which you're above now, with all of this beautiful, beautiful bottoming patterns. And this says 42, technically speaking. So that's a pretty big move from there. What's really interesting, though, in the context of what I opened with this kind of ladder of the leadership, would be the silver mining shares rallying against the price of silver. And you're on the verge of doing that, or so it seems. You have the trend line, you have the 52-week moving average, you have an unconfirmed new low here, all kinds of things playing in to suggest that the mining shares could break out against the underlying price of silver, and that is the nirvana sweet spot of the precious metals. Let's look at the individuals, because there's some are really exciting and very fast turnarounds, man. I want to use the word phoenix here, because rising from the ashes are some of these silver mining shares. I mean, look at 873 there on First Majestic. Well, guess what? A little bit of fresh buying in here, and bam, you're actually at 874. So you're above that high. And when you look at the daily chart, holy mackerel, this thing looks phenomenal, because you're just now getting the on-balance volume to come back in. You have a lot of money on the sidelines that could rotate into these stocks. I talked about this last week in the context of the Infotech XLK, and the ratios even there. This could be big time, and it's really looking to me like it's just beginning here. Silver Corp has come out of nowhere virtually. We follow this stuff, of course, quantitatively as well in the rankings of all the stocks that we do. And I'll tell you what, Silver Corp was nowhere, and Silver Corp's now all over the place. All right, up by 50%. It hasn't even rallied. Can you say $8, please, on Silver Corp? And then we can start talking about where it might go. All right, MAG. Always one you want to have if it's time to have silver stocks. And man, it's not disappointing already. Look at this 2-week worth impulse move. Look at the violation of the 52-week. It blasted through there. Look at the violation of the downtrend line, goes back to 2020. It blasted through there. Look at the dynamic around on-balance volume. You have a lot of firepower to be deployed here. You get above 1218. This thing's $17 and then 20-something pretty quickly, I think. These things really seem to have a lot of upside in the short term. Not only that, MAG has really been one that has held its own versus silver. It did crack, but now it's coming back. And this is very interesting, kind of this outlier move within a longer-term trend, I think. Hecla, always a name you want to look at, and this one I really like the way it looks. It's above the 2-year moving average, which is turning higher. The 52-week has turned higher. You're through the trend line already. You have another unconfirmed new low. This is technical analysis 101, really our focus here, but nonetheless, you understand the fundamentals are very bullish here from the monetary perspective, as it is for gold. Silver is merely following. We don't have to go through all the fundamentals again, because it's the same thing. And we knew that silver would follow, and when it did, it would be exciting, and it is. And look at Pan American. This is really amazing, this move from 14 to almost 17, how fast this has happened off of what was basically, this was These things were clinging by a single fingernail to a technical precipice. And they have clawed all the way back to now they're looking to climb back up the mountain, and they have a nice toehold already, foothold really, even more so than that. They've got back to the plateau now, and they can begin climbing. Perfect example of Pan American, because every time below $10, this thing's been valued. You didn't even get there now. Now you're looking to take out the 2-year moving average, the 5-year moving average, 1984, and then you got $30 in this stock. Could be a double before all this is done. I don't know, let's say the next 9 to 12 to 18 months or sooner. The Global Macro Strategy Report is research that pays for itself, and it's been nice to be true on that one in copper, gold, and silver.